Hey guys, how are you? How are you? How are you? We are going to get right into it because, again, my goal for this lunch and learn is to be something that gives you enough time to grab you something to eat. And then we come back and we have just a quick conversation, and then you can go on with your day. And so, anywho, let me introduce myself. My name is Kimberly Ellis. I am known here in these internet streets as Kim E, the Diabetes MP. And I am starting this new series. This is week number 2, episode number 2 of Lunch and Learn. And so what I'm going to do is come on and we're going to talk about a focused topic with diabetes management. And so today, if you have been following any of my social media platforms, we're going to talk about the newest medication, the newest drug class for diabetes medications, which is Tirzepatide. And so give me a second. I'm about to pull up some slides. And for those who are tuned in, if you could, can you let me know that you hear me? If you can let me know that you hear me and that there's no issues, that would be great. Just if you're looking on YouTube or if you're on LinkedIn, if you could just drop down in the comments that you hear me, because I don't want to start and then y'all can't hear me. So let me check on my end too. Let's see here. Let's see. Y'all can't hear me. Well, I just heard myself. So anywho, let me go ahead and let's share my slides. Yes, great. And then let me take off this so you all can see this. Alrighty. So again, my name is Kimberly Ellis. I am a family nurse practitioner as well as a diabetes educator. My biggest mission with my platform is to help other healthcare professionals simplify how we deliver our management to our patients. I think that we can all agree that diabetes can be a beast, right? And I've been there. I was there a few years ago, and we can simplify it and we can deliver care more efficiently to our patients. The more that we know, the more we can grow. And so today, what I wanted to talk about is just to kind of give like a medication update. This medication, Tirzepatide, also known as Mounjaro, was FDA approved in May 2022. So it's only been out here for a couple of months, right? And it has been all the rave, all over. Over the summertime, I spoke at a conference and actually had the opportunity to lead a dinner discussion that was put on by the company that made this medication, Lilly, where we had a panel where people discussed it, talked about it, asked a lot of questions. And so I thought it would be really good to kind of talk to you about what it is and then give you my perspective on it as a nurse practitioner, and with the hopes that maybe this will give you a little bit more insight of what the medication is and to see if it'll be beneficial for your patients. So alrighty, so what is tirzepatide? Now, it is indicated for those who have type 2 diabetes, right? Type 2. It is an injectable, and it has been, I would say, kind of confused with the other injectables that we have on the market. Right now, what we have clearly, one injectable is your insulin. Another injectable is your GLP-1s. Those are incretins. Well, this is the first of its class, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So indicated for type 2 diabetes, because it has a component, the GLP, it does have a GLP component in it, it will cause significant weight loss, which is very beneficial for our patients who have diabetes. You know, everyone that has diabetes is not always with obesity, right? But many of our patients, this is one of the main things that they're looking for. They want to lose weight. And this is a medication that can offer that to them. So it is a single molecule selectively that binds to and activates the GIP and the GLP-1 receptors. So it targets those. And so I think that we're pretty familiar with GLP-1 is. If you've been prescribing medicines, like we know the GLP-1s are like your Victoza, your Trulicity, your Ozempic. These are weekly injections. And if you need a refresher on that, over on my YouTube channel, I have a whole playlist over the drug classes, right? So, and GLP has its own video, and also have medication sheets to give you some of that need to know information. Wonderful medication for people. But I think, and I could be wrong, and you all can drop down in the comments and let me know, I don't think that we talk a lot about the GIP, which is the glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide. So what this medication is, and where it's been kind of confused, people think it's a combo medication. It's not. It's not a combo medication. It's actually one molecule, okay? And basically what it does is what the incretins do, because it is considered an incretin. And so what that does is glucose-dependent insulin secretion. So when someone eats, the body is then going to release more insulin, which a lot of times in diabetes type 2, this is one of the ways that we combat our insulin resistance. Also, it decreases the inappropriate glucagon secretion. So we give glucagon when people have hypoglycemia, but a lot of times in those who have diabetes type 2, there's an inappropriate secretion of this. So you can only imagine if someone's glucose is already elevated and then you have this hormone that's telling the body to release more glucose, we have a problem. Well, this medication it turns that off. It gives a signal to turn it off. And then of course it slows gastric emptying, very similar to the GLP-1. And so you can only imagine, okay, if someone's gastric emptying is slowed, then that means that they're going to be full, right? That means they're not going to want to eat as much. That means that they're going to not take in caloric intake, which will lead to weight loss. So very similar to what we know in the GLP-1s, but again, a different type of medication. So one of the questions that we got now, just to give you a little bit more background as to this dinner discussion that I had, I was a speaker at the Association of Diabetes Care and Education Specialists, their conference in Baltimore. And all that means is, y'all, certified diabetes educator. It's like that. That's what that is. They rebranded, they changed their name, but that's basically in essence, we're all certified diabetes educators. We're able to manage and educate patients at a more certified, higher level, all that. And so, of course, just like with any professional, certification, they have conferences, just like anything else. And so what happened at this dinner discussion, we were able to, it was really just that, a discussion. We talked about the medicine, we looked at the research behind it, and I was on a panel with two other diabetes educators, one being a registered nurse and one a pharmacist. And then later on, we brought up another pharmacist later on that was really good at getting this covered, which we'll talk about a little later. But one of the big takeaway points that they really wanted to make sure that everyone understood, the pharmacist, was that this is a single molecule. Okay, it activates our body's receptors. So you'll have that GIP and you'll also have that GLP that does all those things that we just talked about. But it is the first FDA approved unimolecular dual agonist. And I think what happens is that when people see that word dual, they automatically think that it's like a combo medication, like similar to like some of our blood pressure medications where it's two medicines in one pill. This is not the case. It is one molecule, and that's what makes it different from our GLP-1 RAs. So your common side effects and contraindications, similar to the GLP-1s, it's a lot of GI. So your nausea, your vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, upper GI discomfort and pain. And you wouldn't want to give this medication to anyone that has had a history or a family history of medullary thyroid cancer or the multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome, which is the short is MENS. And so that's the same thing with GLP. So if you have been already prescribing GLP-1s, if your patients have come to you with that, this is all kind of in line, okay? Now it's given, it is an injectable. It does come in a pen. And just like with any other medication, you start low and you go slow. We all learned that in school. So the starting dose is 2.5 milligrams. You'll give that once a week, and then you increase every 4 weeks. You can increase by 2.5 milligrams each time, and then your max dose is going to be 15 milligrams a week. But with that increase, because of those GI issues that someone will have, which are like, they will eventually go away. And just if you've been educating your patients with this medication, well, with GLP-1s, it's the same thing. They're self-limiting. So after a while, that GI effect, those GI effects will go away, but you don't want to advance them too quickly. You may have to keep them at the dose for a little longer than the 4 weeks. But again, it's very, based on the research, it's been tolerated very well, just like the GLPs have been tolerated. Okay, so let's talk about it, okay? So like I said, I sat on a panel with two other great providers, and a pharmacist as well as a registered nurse. Great educators, very, very intelligent. But I was the person that brought the prescriptive authority to the table. And the first thing that I thought about, I'm not going to even lie to you, was like, how can I get this in my patient's hands? Like, how easily will this be covered? And for me, as a provider who has pretty much spent my whole career dealing with patients that have had government, insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, this is always something that you're thinking about. Like, all these medicines are great, but if I can't get them into their hands, how good is it? And we probably can all agree that nothing is worse than like getting your patient all riled up and like, this is the medication you're going to have, and this is this, and you're telling them all these great things, and you're going to lose weight. And then they get to the pharmacy and they can't get it. And then they're coming back to you with a stink eye, side eye. So yeah. So anyways, that was something, and as you see, I have that third, so we'll touch back on that in a little bit. But the first thing that was a big thing that popped up in a question was like, how do you explain this to patients? And this goes for really any injectable. I think for our patients, that they believe that anything that you inject yourself with is insulin. I don't know about your patients, but I have to do a lot of re-education, even with the GLP-1s, that's not insulin that you're on. You know, you're not on insulin, okay? Your blood sugar is not going to drop. You're not going to have hypoglycemia. You don't have to worry about nighttime hypoglycemia or nocturnal hypoglycemia. You don't have to worry about that, right? And so for one, letting them know that though this is a new medication, this medication is not insulin, okay? It is not insulin. So that's number one. Also, letting the patient really leading with the benefits. You know, we as the providers, one of the big things that we like to do is, of course, we want to know if this is going to get our patient to goal. Is this going to be something that's going to bring their numbers down? Of course, but to our patients, they don't care about that. I mean, yeah, they want to be healthy, but they're like, you know, I can't stop eating. All I want to do is eat sweets. Is this going to help curb my appetite? Well, lead with that, because this medication definitely will. So definitely letting them know that this medicine will definitely help you to feel full where you won't be eating as much. And that's always a good thing to start with. Another big thing that I have found, colleague resistance to new therapies. So, and this is not just with this medication, this is just with anything new, not just medications, anything new on the market. You know, I think us going through COVID, and I remember prior to COVID, how some people were so even resistant to telehealth. But now we've been forced into telehealth and we realize it's not that bad, right? But I remember hearing people talk about like, you can't give good care, telehealth, medicine, all that stuff like that. And I often wonder, how are those people doing now that we're now in a world where that's exactly what we're doing, because we're not going back. You know, we spent a year and a half. That's basically what a lot of patients had offered to them. And now they like it. We're not going to go back and turn back the hands of time. And so one of the things that I see a lot with colleague resistance, and just to give you a little background about me, I have a very diverse work background, not because I planned it that way. It was really by chance. I have worked in a few different states. I have worked in many different settings. And I've done inpatient, I've done outpatient, I've done community health, I've done peds, I've done that. And I mentioned that only to say that there's resistance across the board, no matter what your discipline is, no matter what background. Now, it may be different types of resistance, but there's still resistance. And with this medication, one of the things that I find is that when you're talking, especially if you're not a prescribing provider, and at the conference, there were a lot of people in there that were not prescribers. You know, they were more just the educator, the consultant. And that was a big question, like, how do we get physicians and PAs and nurse practitioners to like actually consider this medication? And my thing was, for one, you need to understand that the prescriber sees a part of the patient that you may not see. You know, I've worked in areas where there are a lot of barriers. Before I can even get the patient to the pharmacy, there are other barriers that are working on this patient. And you can find yourself feeling like, well, this is not, my patient's not going to be able to get this, so I'm not going to even worry about this. I'm going to go with what I know. And the only thing that can remedy that is education. That's the only thing that can remedy that. And so, and allowing us to be able to talk and have candid conversations about what this medication is, and leading into the access and coverage, because that really is where a lot of people come to a hard stop, is how do we get the access? How do we get the coverage for our patients? One of the big things that I learned, and also something from my own personal experience, is partnering with other disciplines. So it was really eye-opening to work with two pharmacists, because I think a lot of times they're kind of like the forgotten person in the equation when it comes to like prescribing these medications. We don't really think about them as a partner in this, you know. These professionals actually know how to go about getting a lot of these medications covered for us. And one of the pharmacists that was on the panel with me, like she has great success getting it covered. Now, this medication, because it is new, most likely you will have to deal with some type of prior authorization. But if you are already knowing that this medication can help a lot of your patients, if you know the process, you can move through the process quickly. And in some situations, the other pharmacist, she was like an in-house pharmacist. So she just wasn't at an independent pharmacy. Some of us work in organizations where everything is under the same roof. You have the pharmacy, you have primary care, dental, all that. I've never worked at any of those places, but I see them in my area. And these were things that she was like, I will do it for the provider. And so when I heard stuff like this, I was wondering, I was like, I wonder how many of us know that like we don't have to tie ourselves or our staff up doing these things. We can actually partner with the pharmacist. So to me, overall, I do believe that this is a great medication. I know that it's the first of its class. So this is not something that someone told me. This is just something that I'm just thinking through. Chances are there's more coming down the pipe. That's what I'm anticipating. I wouldn't be surprised on that. And I do believe that this medication is it's the future. I really do. I think it's the now and it's the future. And so if we can figure out just how to get it in the hands of everyone and we have a uniform way of doing that, I think that this would be a really great medication for our patients. And so anyways, y'all, I hope this has been helpful. Let's continue to stay social with each other. If you're not already following me on Instagram, you can find me there. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me at the Diabetes MP. Over here on YouTube, I'm now streaming live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So wherever you find me, I'm there. You can find my YouTube channel at Kim E, the Diabetes MP. Again, if you want a refresher over the medication classes, I have a whole playlist there that you can go through and look at that. And in the coming months, I'm going to be updating all of that because it needs to be updated, you know, some of the stuff, you know, I'm updating a lot of my playlists and stuff. So there's going to be more that's coming. And if you have a question, if you want to see something on a Lunch and Learn, if there's something that you want to learn, please reach out to me, email. You can email me at info@ellisdiabetes.com. And I would love for you guys to join me online, and thank y'all for coming in live. It's really encouraging. So anyways, guys, y'all have a great weekend, and I will catch you all on the next one. I will say this before I pop off. Next week, I'm going out of town. And so that one is probably going to be a pre-recorded one, but I will be popping on for lives as much as my capacity allows me to. But if I can't do live, I will do pre-recorded. And so just wanted to give y'all a heads up on that. And so we are great on time, and I love it. And so y'all have a great day. Okay, bye.